Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value and as a guide to your repair needs. No guarantee to repair or cause is given or implied. Always check with your favorite certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting repair. The Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics is reproduced and distributed by Prairie House Productions. Have questions for the Motor Medics? Call our 24-hour toll-free number, 866-594-4150. All content of the Under the Hood Show is the property of Nordstrom's Incorporated. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive and may be reproduced with our permission.
Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us for another episode. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter, here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. Calls coming in from across the country already. So let's go.
It's a big country,
Let's
too.
start. It is. I wouldn't want to paint it.
Okay. That is a very
old
random
Stephen Wright joke. Or...
I didn't know the joke, but that's a very odd statement.
Let's go to Montana and talk to Lewis. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Lewis, what can we do for you?
I got a 2002 Chrysler Sebring convertible. Only has 73,198 on it. I got a oil leak. Just got back in April. I got the oil pan gasket replaced, and now it's leaking oil again. And I would thought it will be either my oil pressure sensor or oil switch, because my oil light doesn't come on when I start my vehicle. I would either thought about that, or it could be something else.
Which motor do you have in there? Is it the V6 or the 4-cylinder?
I have the 2.7 V6.
2.7. Okay. All right. So I just trying to figure out which motor that was, and could they see at the time an actual for sure leak coming from the oil pan?
Before, yes. After I got the oil pan gasket replaced, no. Then about a few months later, it started again.
That's a big engine. I wouldn't want to paint it.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing with oil leaks, I've got one in the shop right now for one. And I've had them come in before, and they say, I need my oil pan replaced. The gasket, whatever. And it gets done. It's cleaned off real good. It's dry for a while. See, the problem is it's on the bottom of the engine. So whenever anyone says, I have an oil leak, can you check it out? We look up towards the top. Where does the oil stop? So if it's, look at the oil pan. The oil pan's wet, sure. But is it wet above the oil pan? Anywhere at all? Because it can run down the seam of an engine from a valve cover gasket and make it look like there's no oil leaking, but that's where it's a trail coming down. It'll follow that groove.
Like water on a rafters in a
right.
in a roof if it gets a hole.
Our suggestion with any oil leak is clean the entire engine 100%, so it's completely dry with it not running, and then put oil system dye into the engine, start the engine up, and start watching that entire engine with a UV light and some glasses that amplify that UV light so you can see where it starts to turn purple or green or yellow, whatever color that dye is. And then you'll find where the source of that leak is. And it can be really tricky. If you think, oh, that's so simple, it's just an engine. There's a lot of parts to that engine. The more modern engines are even worse. They're really covered up. But that one, you should be able to see where it's coming from. Common places on those engines are valve cover gaskets, front cover gasket, oil pan gasket, oil pressure sending unit, even the base around the oil filter.
You got an overhead cam engine that's got an oil bath front timing chain that's there's a lot of stuff flying around inside of there.
The sensors for the camshaft, those leak around those as well. I'm saying I'd go with the dye. And if you're thinking, where do I even find that? You can go to Amazon. You can buy engine oil dye, UV glasses, and the UV light all together for probably $25.
I tell you what, Chris just got super excited.
oh,
Once
I want-
again, every time we bring up UV light.
I've changed my tune on that.
You have?
Yeah.
What can I use it for?
I don't want to know. I don't want to.
You can use it for a toilet leak too, Chris. You pour the dye in the toilet and you get the lights out. Oh, wait a second. You better not do that.
Yeah, I don't want to. I've decided I don't want to check
I
anywhere.
just thought.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Clean first.
Your hotel room? Nope. Pass.
Oh, don't.
No.
Don't do
Does that, I was going to say, does that help you out, Lewis? But let me ask you a more specific question. Does that make you worry about something different?
Oh, not really.
Okay.
No, thank you guys. Been listening to you guys for 2 years. I'm also the
thanks.
one that called about the 2012 Porsche Cayenne hybrid
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
about
right.
3 years ago.
Well, that's you
Yeah.
still have the car?
No, it's in LA. Broken.
Oh.
Even worse.
Okay.
Lewis, thanks very much for the call. But that is, I mean, it might not be that bad. That actually,
No, it could be a small leak. It doesn't take much oil to make a mess. Very small leak makes a very big mess. You know that you chase and chase and chase and chase and
and can I find out, could Lewis find out exactly where the leak is coming from and what's going on, and also find out he doesn't have to really worry about it?
it depends on how much he wants the ground under the car to stay clean.
Right. Where he's going to
You-
park. He's going to
Right.
have to maybe plan for something different.
Yeah, it takes it takes a long time. I mean, I had a drip. I've fixed every leak under my truck, and I had a drip that was so small you would look underneath and you would see one little drip hanging off the back of this overdrive unit. But after a month's time, that drip would empty a pint of fluid out of the overdrive. 1 pint of fluid thrown on the bottom of the car every month, all of a sudden is a quart,
Right.
then a half a gallon, and then a gallon, and now you've got a complete rust proofing job from there all the way to the back end.
I have a 68 Land Rover that has that's my next chase on
Rust
there.
proofed, yeah. And it's you may have the.
Oh, I can
same-
see it.
Do you have an overdrive unit in that?
No, it's a straight stick.
Okay, because
Yeah.
the straight sticks that had the same overdrive I have,
Yeah.
they had that leak.
Oh no, you can see the leaks. I just got to fix them.
I bought, when I had the Volkswagen, I went to J-Bugs and just bought like a gross of blankets.
Well, they make that
What?
diaper
Go
for
right
those.
under- yeah,
You know,
it goes-
that diaper pan that hangs underneath your VW engine to catch all the oil.
It reminds
coming
me, I
out
got
of
to
it.
bring home some pig mat for mine for the garage.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
We can't wait to see you under the hood. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Caleb. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Caleb, what can we do for you?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
So, I've got this BMW 2000 323 Ci, and I'll drive around with the windows down, and it'll suck dust from the trunk into the cab. And sometimes I'll be driving around with my the pass-through down, you know. I haul hockey sticks around, and yeah, it's sucking dust from the trunk, I think, when I have my windows down. Do I need to like look for a hole, or is it just how the car is vented?
Yeah, you need to clean that trunk more often.
Oh no, it's getting in.
Seriously, it's because it does that. A couple of those, there's a lot of those cars that have done that in different models, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to pull the dust out. If you got dust in the trunk, I'm assuming this thing goes on a gravel road sometimes, huh? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
pretty much every day.
The way that thing's vented, it's going to allow dust in there, and it's going to have a lot. And right when you open the windows, it's creating a Venturi effect. You know, you're probably not old enough to remember the old the lawnmowers, the lawn spray. We used to have these things years ago, back in the 70s, Chris? Maybe even 80s.
We didn't have
you
a
could
lawn.
probably still buy them.
I didn't have a lawn.
So they had a cup on the bottom of they had a sprayer, like the garden hose would go through the top, water would spray across, and it would suck the chemical, like fertilizer, out of the jar. And maybe they still make them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got a car wash one.
But people used to use them all the time. So that's what's happening. The wind goes past the windows, creates a negative air pressure in there. That's why your ears are going funky when you roll them down. And it's sucking the air out of the back. You've got less pressure under the trunk where there's vents back in the trunk. And you've got less pressure there than you have, or you've got more pressure there than you have inside the cabin. So as the air goes by, that Venturi effect sucks the dust right up the front and out the doors and all over your car. So, yeah, I don't know what the effect would be of closing the trunk vents off with some duct tape. My guess is that you could create some condensation and cause some rust in there. That's the purpose of them being there, one of the purposes. Also, when the windows are up, the pressure is supposed to go in. The air comes inside through the blower with the blower and pressurizes the cabin and lets the air out the back the other direction.
And those vents have diaphragms on them. They're flaps kind of usually. And I would definitely put the car up in the air at some point and look underneath just to make sure there's not
missing one.
Something that popped out,
or dirt holding one open because like mud,
or a little nest of some sort, or maybe at some point in its life something flipped up on the road and you do actually have a hole somewhere that you just don't know about. You just give it a good physical inspection.
Does that help you out there,
right.
Caleb?
That sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, are you taking the hockey sticks to a hockey game, or with the excitement around Happy Gilmore 2, are you taking him to a golf course?
No, I'm taking him to hockey.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Where do you play hockey at?
In Yankton.
Awesome.
Okay.
You're a golfer.
Nice.
You're not a hockey player. Remember that.
Do you know how many different ways I've tried to put hockey sticks in a car?
You've done a lot of that.
I've done a lot. And I've done 2 goalie bags and like 6 goalie sticks in a Prius with 2 goalies and me. There's been a lot of I've done a lot of configuring over the years.
You do understand you can't put hockey sticks in a Prius and think you're tough.
Don't need to.
Okay.
I haven't put I don't know if I've ever put a hockey stick in a car. I played hockey as a kid, but I can't remember putting the sticks in the car. I remember carrying them 10 blocks to the hockey rink.
There's a big difference between like having little kids hockey equipment in the car and big kids hockey equipment in the car.
Is the smell?
That's a whole different.
Well, I was a big kid when I was a little kid, so
866-594-4150.
like a locker room.
Talk to worse. Like a locker room that was closed for 4 years.
Ooh.
Let's talk to Rodney in Nebraska. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Rodney, what can we do for you?
Yes, I've got a 2011 Chevy 1500, got a 5.7 engine in it. At 240,000 miles, I put a GM reman engine into it, and I replaced the injectors, the catalytic converters at the same time. Everything's running good, but my question is what the oil pressure should be. My gauge shows a maximum of 30 pounds of oil pressure at the very maximum, and idling down to 15. And sometimes when it's really hot, I'm getting sitting there idling with the air conditioner on at a stop sign that gets down below the 15 pounds. I'm using what they recommend in Mobil 1 synthetic oil, and I was just wondering if these oil pressures are adequate or they're what they normally would have.
I just want to fact check something here just to make sure. 2011 Silverado, is that what you said?
Yes.
So it's probably a 5.3 liter LS motor, but the question is relevant for other listeners, whether it's a 5.3 or a 5.7. When you
the 5.7.
Yeah, that is
5.7.
Yep. No, okay. Well, we'll talk about the oil pressure. And so you're going off the gauge on the dash, or have you taken
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Those pressures are fine, even if they are accurate.
Oh.
They're a little lower than, as far as the upper end, you might be 40, 45, going down the road, idle 30, 35. Yeah. I could see that. But that gauge inside, that whole gauge system is not 100% accurate. You can take it with a grain of salt. It could be as much as 4 or 5 pounds off. So if it's saying, let's say, 8-9 pounds at idle, hot with the AC on, it could be 12 to 14 pounds at idle. And that 35 going down the road could actually be close to 42, 43, something like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about
maximum I get is 30 pounds.
Is that cold?
Or,
what about when it's cold and you first started up on a cold day?
Cold, it might get up to 40, and once it's warmed up, it's right down to 30.
Okay. Yeah. The only way you'd know is if you pull the sending unit out and screw a gauge into that port and see what it is. I'll bet it's higher. The sending units on those are famous for failing. We installed one yesterday afternoon. It was reading low, and sometimes it would read nothing at all, and there was nothing wrong with the pressure. We rarely have a problem with oil pressure on those vehicles. If we do, they're telling me two things. And my oil pressure gauge is at 0 and my engine's hammering. Well, then you probably have a problem. But if they say my gauge has been at 0 for a week, that's usually not an issue. It's usually in that gauge system.
And we're assuming it's running good, sounds good.
Yes, it's running very good. It's much different than the one I replaced because I had a one cylinder was a little low on compression and so forth, and that's why I decided to put that reman engine in and went with the GM reman.
Well, and what people this is a great chance to tell our hoodies too that we see this often where people have just spent sizable amounts of money and they're fixing a specific area of the vehicle. When you're done, you're much more sensitive. You're looking at everything that much closer.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just human instinct. If you went to the doctor and they worked on your arm, you're going to look at your arm closer. And so it's just one of them things where you're paying closer attention. Continue to pay attention to it. If you notice that it begins to drop or get lower, with some consistency, then I would be back talking to GM and say, I don't know about this, but
At the very minimum, I would get a new oil pressure sending unit and put it in, because if it hasn't failed now and it's not going bad, it will. They just fail a lot. So it does not hurt to put one in. I think they're $28. Our partner over at Standard Motor Products, they sell that. I got one yesterday. Got that and the screen. They came together as a little kit, and it was pretty cheap. It just screws in the back of the engine right behind the intake manifold, so it would not hurt to put one of those in. A fresh one never hurts for one it's basically a wear item. As it clogs, it reads less.
Rodney, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Florida and talk to Michael. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Michael, what can we do for you?
Oh, wow. This is great. I really appreciate you guys taking my call.
You bet.
I have a question, and it's about the dreaded Kia Sorento. I have a 2016 Kia Sorento. It's got a 2.0 liter Theta engine with the turbo. And at 118,000 miles, I had the car, the engine, they put a new Remand engine in it because it seized up with me going down the road at 45 miles an hour. So they put a new Remand engine in. Now it has 160,000 miles. The engine is working great, no problems. I have one of these odd problems where I don't know if this is just a coincidence. It was maybe 3 months after they put the engine in. My passenger side headlight went out. Just the passenger side headlight. Every other light, the driving lights below, left and right work, the high beams left and right work. I changed the side lights all the way around the car work. Everything works except the one passenger side headlight. And I'm 60, so I'm old school. I'm looking for a fuse. And apparently in the Kia Sorento, the headlights aren't controlled by fuses or anything. I guess it's a module or not even a module. I think it's like a computer or something that controls the headlights now. So I'm wondering if you guys I've been living with this for 6 months because I'm afraid to take it to the dealer and they're going to charge me $900 for this, I'm sure. So I'm just thinking, have you ever heard of anything like where one headlight like that goes out?
Have you checked the bulb?
Oh, yes, I did that to ad nauseum. I bought 3 different brand new bulbs.
Right,
I made sure they're working bulbs. I switched them from side to side. I did all that thinking, well, I just bought 3. Maybe those 3 were bad.
We figured you did,
Yeah.
but we've asked that question before, and they said, well, why would just one go up? I'm like, okay. We'll see what happens.
I checked the harness.
Okay.
I checked the harness to make sure it wasn't rusted out or anything like that. It's brand new. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's just, and then anything electronic, I get crazy, because it's like I can't read schematics, and
that's where you're going to have to go is read the schematic and follow the power back to the culprit. And it does have I think that car has a separate left and right headlight fuse in it. I would have to look at the schematic to see, but I believe it does have a separate left and right low beam and high beam fuse. So a total of 4 fuses in there. If the bulb burns out, often it'll burn out the fuse, because what will happen is the filament will fall down on the other one and it'll try to light the high and the low at the same time, and it's too much current, so it'll blow that fuse for the low beam that was on. And then it may work for a while if you try the high beam, and then it'll go out. Does your high beam work over there?
yes, no problems with that.
If your high beam works, then you've got a good ground and you've got a good circuit to the high. It would just be the one wire for the low, so that will either be a problem with the fuse. It's get a fuse or something in the wire, likely, because the module has one driver output for both lights, one for each low, one for each high together, like one that splits off, and it splits to the 2 separate fuses. That's the way that runs. So, but I believe that car has fuses. I've seen this before in them, and we've put a fuse in. So I would maybe get on the internet and just look up headlight fuse location for a 16 Sorento and see if it gives you just a quick go right here to it location. And I believe it's under the hood on that one.
Michael, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. We come back. We want to hear from you.
Want to know what these guys are really about? Take a look under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Don't forget, you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. If you miss a show, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com. You could win a hoodie.
Like Hubert Razzle. Congratulations from everybody here under the hood and our friends over at Berkeley One Classic, celebrating 50 years of collector car coverage. And Universal Technical Institute, UTI.edu. We're celebrating that they're there to help automotive people who want to learn more, learn what they need to know to get out there and make themselves a lucrative career.
And in the time it takes you to go to UTI, you're going to learn more than if you worked that equivalent at a shop.
You've said this so many times, Chris, and the older I get, the more I think about it. And now I have a grandson that is listening to what you said through me. 4 years from now, you can either have a degree in something, or 2 years, you can have a degree in something. You can have your garage cleaned out, whatever. 4 years is going to go by no matter what.
Yeah.
And 4 years from now, you can either have this or you can not have this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about the things like, here's a new job. Maybe you should start investing now. Well, I need the money. You don't have any money. You live at home and you've got an amazing career. If you put this much, but that's a whole lot, yes, that you didn't have before. If you put this much away for 4 years, you can never have to put any money ever again into that. And you'll have more than most people do when they're retired. He's like, I'll never have to put it in. No.
I just keep telling myself I still have time.
Get that. No.
Yeah, no.
Until you don't.
I'm still young.
You are still young.
Yeah, growth. Go for growth. My advisor's going, well, no, I'm young. I don't know if you should maybe balance out your investments a little. No, go for growth. I'm young. I'm vibrant. Not so young and vibrant anymore.
Well, you can grow. If you go to UTI and you're young, then you got a chance.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Mississippi and talk to Weston. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Weston, what can we do for you?
Hey, my friend, I have got a 91 Chevy pickup. It's got a 350 in it. And I just previously, about 3 weeks ago, I sent my throttle body in to be cleaned and any gaskets replaced and things like that. But anyway, as a result, my truck set up for about 3 weeks. And when I did get it back, I installed a throttle body. Things worked great, except it would not shift into third gear. So that has got me sort of, I don't know, to tell you the truth.
I have some preliminary questions that have nothing to do with your question. If that makes any sense at all.
I think it does.
I do that often.
Yeah.
Okay. 91 Chevy truck, throttle body. Where did you find a place that has a service to send the throttle body in for reconditioning, rebuilding, whatever they called it?
Local or mail?
Yeah, I'm very curious.
I sent was a guy in Florida that specialized in throttle body. So I sent it to him.
TBI Specialties, maybe. Yeah, there's a couple of those out there that do. Yeah. So they get your throttle body. They take the injector out of the center of it, which has 3 screws. They take the regulator cover off. They clean it all, and then they put a new regulator in it, assemble it with new gaskets, make sure the injectors are clean. They turn them on and flush them out, and then send it back to you. That's the way that we used to do it. We used to do that in the shop.
Yeah, no, I was intrigued. I did not know that a service like that would be actively accessible. And did you find them browsing the internet?
No, actually, a friend of mine told me about him. He had sent his down there, and he told me about it. He had good results. So like I said, he told me about it, and I had good results from that individual. My throttle body, it starts up, runs good in the whole 9 yards, except my transmission, as a result of sitting up, will not shift into third gear.
Well,
That may not be
1991 is
bad.
a non-electronic transmission.
That should have a TV cable.
Yeah, there should be a cable that connects to that has to be adjusted to a certain extent to set the pressure inside the transmission as you move the throttle.
That got a 3-speed or a 4-speed automatic in it? It got overdrive in it?
Yeah.
If it got 1, 2, 3 OD, it's
No.
got a 700 R4 in it. And a lot
Mine
of those.
shows, my paperwork shows a 4L60.
Yeah, okay, then it's an electronic shift because it depends on the chassis of the truck. But so if it's a 4L60, that's an E, which is electronic, which means it's going to use the map sensor to determine load and the throttle position sensor on the throttle body to allow it to shift into a higher gear. Someone needs to hook a scan tool to the vehicle and look and see what the throttle position is, because if you are driving down the road and it's showing a throttle that's open further than it is, it's not going to allow it to shift into the higher gear. Does it seem to take longer to shift to first and second, out of first to second than normal? Does it seem like it's shifting at a higher speed going down the road? Okay. Because if that's gone up, then you can be guaranteed that top gear is probably gone up too. If you were to get it out on the road in second gear, and if it goes to second, you should be safe to drive to 55 in second. But if you get it up to about 55 and then you let off that throttle, if it shifts into third and then drops right back down the second you touch that throttle, you probably got a bad throttle sensor on the throttle body, and it may have gone bad by them cleaning it, moving it. I don't know if they put a new one in it. If they put a new one in it, maybe the tab got put on the wrong side of the lever. Sometimes that'll happen when you put it on. It may not be opening the throttle like it's supposed to, but I'll bet you got a bad throttle sensor on it.
Did you guys put it back on yourself?
Yeah. The throttle body itself.
Yes.
Yeah. I put that back on myself.
Well, just go back and double check too where you were as a human. I always say that.
Mhm.
And just maybe disconnect things, reconnect them, make sure everything's seated well. Just kind of give it a once over and check that too.
Weston, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Mike. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Mike, what can we do for you? Mike, are you there? All right, put you on hold. We'll try back. Let's talk to Connor. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Connor, what can we do for you?
Morning, guys. I got a 14 Ram Bighorn pickup. I replaced the shocks in the rear end of it, and it seems really, really bouncy now after I replaced the shocks, and I'm just wondering if possible to put those in upside down. I don't know what's going on. It just wasn't that bouncy before. I just figured, there was no issues. I just thought maybe, it's a good time to put new shocks on it. But now it's really bouncy going down the road and kind of makes me think I did something wrong.
They're usually labeled which end is up or the end with those I don't even think have a cover. I think the piston's exposed on them, but they go down. The metal rod portion is down, not up. But they should do exactly, they're gas charged over oil shock. They should work in any position. It may be that the shocks are just very stiff. They're a performance type shock, so they're absorbing more of that. They're dampening a little harder than the ones that were in there, so you're getting a bounce to it.
Or we're not talking about a bounce like where you push it down and it keeps bouncing like a bad shock, are you?
That's
No,
rough ride.
That's not it at all.
Okay, that's what I was going for.
It's a floaty ride. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I think there's a break-in period as well. I've been reading, so maybe I just need to be a little more patient.
No break-in period unless you got some specialty shocks. I don't know about that. So if they said there was a break-in period, I'd believe that on the shock, but typically there is no on any of them. You just put them on and it works.
I think of the racing world where shocks are so important for tuning the car on the track, where they send them away to a shop and they bolt it on the car when it gets back and they go racing.
Shocks are weird. I had a camper and pulling it down the road, that thing would give you that, that chucking forward and back. And it's like people wanted to say, do this, do that, and the other to make it work. I bought a set of shocks and I welded up some brackets and I put the shocks on the camper. Smooth as glass. Smooth as glass.
So it was just bouncing on the leaf springs?
Well, the camper would, it was not moving much, but it was moving enough that your big heavy camper would move the fifth wheel on the truck. Shocks. There you go. So shocks on a vehicle can make a world of difference, because I had the same thing on my truck. I thought, I've got good shocks, I'm going to change them to something else. And changing the shocks completely changed the ride. I had no bounce. I had no rough ride, but changing them changed different dynamics in different ways. So I think shocks get underrated a lot of times. People think that that's not going to make any difference for them.
But when Connor said floaty feeling, you guys both made
floaty like that. That's not a
face.
bounce. That's more like there's no shock. It's too loose back there. And a floaty feeling would be you could bounce it on the ground and it'll keep bouncing, or it'll be very easy to push up and down when it's sitting. Truck like that should not really. It should be difficult you should have to jump on the bed of it to get it to move down.
And once it comes up, it should settle as soon as it's, it go up and and settle.
Push it, you jump on it, it goes down, you jump off, it goes right where it was and stops.
Yeah, and this one kind of seems to be the opposite of that. It kind of seems to maybe go up and down maybe at least once, if not once and a half.
That's 1.5 is the limit. That's where they should be.
In fear of asking this question, I'll do it anyway.
Okay.
What kind of shock did you put on there?
It got it from Detroit Axle. I ordered it online, to be honest. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they seem to have some good ratings, so I thought that was a good place.
What would your rating be right now?
0 out of 10 right now. It almost makes me sick driving it. It's that floaty. Just it gives you that weird feeling in your head when you're on a roller coaster.
Well, if the only thing you change is a shock and you don't like the way it feels, I would box them up and return them and try something different. I mean, and your first ones you took off was because you just thought it was time to do it, or were you having leakage, or did you just...
It's got 240,000 miles on it, so I figured why not?
Yeah, and all your other bushings
that was the only reason.
All your other bushings and connections, that all looks good on your rear axle, how it's mounted in there and such.
It does. It looks fine in there. In hindsight, I still have the old shocks. I might send the other ones back and just put them back on. To be honest,
think for now, if you put that on and your ride went back to what you're used to, that would be good. But I'm still trying to figure out what you're describing. But you don't like it, whatever it is.
Right.
Whatever you're describing, you don't like it. So I would probably send those back and get a pair of OEM shocks, or possibly get another brand that we've all heard for years and try them.
Connor, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Welcome back to Under the Hood with the Motor Medics. Everybody has a car, and the Motor Medics will help you keep that car on the road with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Mike in Michigan. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mike, what can we do for you?
Yes, I have a '09 Ford Escape 3-liter, and it dies when I get it up to running temperature.
Every
I
time?
replaced a fuel, yeah, I replaced a fuel pump. I can't find a fuel filter. I
Doesn't
see
have
it shows it needs one, but then they say it doesn't have one. It's in the fuel
tank.
system.
Yeah, it's in the pump. So
Yep.
when you say operating
So-
temperature, you start it up cold right now. You go drive it, or it's in your
Yep.
driveway. As soon as the temp gets up to like 180, it just shuts off.
Yep.
And then how do you get it started again?
I have to wait till the whole vehicle cools down before it'll restart.
And
If
then
I shut it off before it gets up to temp and it stalls itself, it'll restart and run fine
until it hits
just
that
gets up
temp.
to temp.
Okay.
and it does.
Probably one of two issues going on there. You've either got a crankshaft sensor, which is bad, or you have a temperature sensor that is bad. 2 or 3, you have a major internal engine leak and it's overheating and really getting hot. So if you plug a scanner into it, start it up, let it run, watch the temp. And if the temp creeps up, and then when you see it get to 185, 95, whatever it is, and it shuts off, then we know the temp is okay, the sensor's okay, because it's still in a safe range and we're not boiling over or anything like that. But if it's shutting down, then when it shuts down with the scanner connection, crank it and see if you've got an RPM signal. If it says nothing on the tach, if it says 0 RPM as you're cranking it, then you know you've got a bad sensor. Look at the cam sensor and the crank sensor, because that is common. What happens is it's got a coil of wire in there. It gets hot. It moves like the wire on a thermometer, and it opens, and the circuit's open, and it just shuts it off. Cools down, makes a connection again, fires right up. That's what I would look at. But we have put in crankshaft sensors in this engine for this similar type of problem. May not do it every single time. That'd be a dream. I tell you what, if somebody came in and said, all you got to do is let it warm up, it'll die. Like, that'd be great. But it's like, oh no, every couple of weeks it dies, but it's only when it's warm after I've been driving a little bit, and then I have to let it cool down and it starts. This is great for diagnosis. You can just
it'd be
go
the dream scenario for you.
You start it up, you drive it a block, shut it off, let it cool down.
Next
Start it
day.
up, drive it a block. So you get closer to the shop every day.
Make an appointment for a week from now. Get a couple blocks in each day, and you'll eventually get it to the shop.
There you go.
I have a friend that has a larger scanner tool, and he'll drive here and do it. But now that I know this, I will run until it dies, and then have him try to hook it up and crank it at the same time there to see if it shows anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way to track it down.
And if he watches it, when it's doing it, that gives him the confidence to know, okay, I had it.
Yeah.
Now I don't. And so both scenarios might be important, just to watch that data as you're going through your normal process.
So there is good news in this problem in that it's replicable.
Yeah.
Always good news.
Like those.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Mike. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mike, what can we do for you?
Yeah, hey guys, it's cousin Mike, by the way, Shannon.
Well, hello there, young man. That's young, not as young as me.
Good to hear. Hey, so here's the deal. Maybe you've talked about this recently. I don't get to tune in all the time, but it's got to be a popular topic. Diesel deletes. So I've got a 2016 Silverado with a 6.6 diesel. Has not been deleted. I've got 80,000 miles on it. It's a 3500 HD. My son's got the same truck, which has been deleted, and it's a joy to drive and to pull things with that. What's your opinion on delete?
Well, it's against the law. It's against federal emissions laws.
Okay.
And even if they, right now, they are pushing, the administration is pushing really hard to get a lot of emissions removed from vehicles. And this is what'll happen. If it does get passed, and I've been following this real close with our friends over at the SEMA administration, SEMA show.
Specialty Equipment Marketing Association.
If they remove it, the manufacturers are saying, they're saying, whoa, we don't want to take all the emissions off. Some of them are okay, which we agree. Some of them are non-restrictive and they clean up the air. That's great. These aren't the ones you're talking about. You're talking about DEF and all this other crap that it's really costing you more per mile to drive it because you got to put more fuel in it to save, and it's just making a mess. Plus the cost of building it and the pollution made to produce these products to put on. It's a racket. But they're saying if they remove the DEF and they remove the particulate filter and all these things you want to delete on the 2026 models, and they're off of there from 26, 27, 28, and 29, and then they're back on there again, that doesn't mean you can remove them from one that's already there. That's like saying, hey, this guy's been put in prison for 20 years for distributing cocaine, but they've made it legal now? Doesn't matter. He committed the crime when it was not legal, so he's staying in there even though it's legal now. Those things have happened, and with this truck, if you delete it, you might run into it. One example, Houston, Texas. Texas, the entire state, they got rid of their inspection stickers this past January. Well, that's cool. I got friends there. They're like, finally, because it was costing more for the shops to register them and the taxpayers than to put the thing on the truck. Well, one county down there in Houston that is controlled one way said, we're going to do emissions testing now. What? So there were people with vehicles that they thought as soon as the inspection stickers went off, we'll delete them. And they did. And now they can't register their vehicle and they can't afford to buy all the equipment to put back on them again. So they're like, well, what do we do? Well, we just sell them in a county outside of Houston. So we don't have that problem. There have been other states, Arizona, Minnesota. We have seen trucks here in Garrettson in South Dakota that were purchased because they were not legal to be registered in Arizona. We had a conversion. Somebody put a Cummins diesel in a Suburban and one in the Chevy pickup, and that was not legal to register in Arizona because they changed it. So if South Dakota, for some reason, chooses to or is forced to do a basic emissions inspection, which is all they do is they plug in the scanner into the vehicle and they read it, and if it's not a stock configuration, if it's been modified for a delete, which will show up in a scanner, or they look under the vehicle and they see it's missing, that would prevent you from registering it. If we ever run into that, it's going to cost you a lot of money to put it back where it was. So I guess if you do delete it, the bottom line is you better hang on to every single piece of equipment you took off of that and store it away and hope it works after sitting all that time. That's why we don't sell those parts here as an auto recycler. You're not going to find people selling stock, exhaust and stuff like that. Unless, I'm talking about ones with a cat. We do sell tailpipes and there's some things, and there are some recycled options available, but typically you cannot, if you called and said, I've got a 16 Duramax and I need to buy a whole DPF and the cat and the whole system, we're going to be like, good luck. Yeah.
Just once Russ gets off his soapbox here.
I love driving them without. I mean, I think it's a bigger waste to have it on because of the heated builds and the pollution that it creates by having it. It's just a different type.
Yeah. And having said all that, don't let your lion eyes deceive you. The truck runs a lot better and it's a lot more fun to drive.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on where you live, you can judge the political winds on whether or not you think it's going to be something that's enforced in any time in the near future. Well, that truck still has value and make those choices. But manufacturers of those products to do the deletes, we're getting rapidly prosecuted against not more than a year ago, and being forced to put vehicles back to stock. And so I don't see that happening under the current realm of political winds.
Yeah, it's been cut back.
And we're actually lobbying with our trade association right now to get them to understand that these vehicles can test themselves to let us sell that equipment.
Yeah.
It makes no sense that we can't sell this equipment. The vehicles test themselves. So this is a very hot button issue. And I think right now we're going to see some movement on it. And
Yeah.
like I said, they do run better. There's no doubt.
And if anyone is listening now in an official capacity, my voice was not in that at all. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Hour 2 is coming up.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value and as a guide to your repair needs. No guarantee to repair or cause is given or implied. Always check with your favorite certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting repair. The Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics is reproduced and distributed by Prairie House Productions. Have questions for the Motor Medics? Call our 24-hour toll-free number, 866-594-4150. All content of the Under the Hood Show is the property of Nordstrom's Incorporated. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive and may be reproduced with our permission.
Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Hey, thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Thank you for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
Did you lose it there for
I
a second?
did.
Okay.
You know what you saw what I did there? I had my phone in my hand. I was distracted right before we went live.
Yeah.
Something pegged at me, and I didn't think.
Yep.
So put that away.
That is, I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. And I have to just say it like that because if I think about it, the number, I'll lose the number halfway through.
Because it's like a robotic response.
Yep.
But I kicked that off a little bit wrong.
And I just noticed that I forgot to switch my hats today. I didn't put on my Under the Hood Show hat. I'm wearing my Minnesota Twins hat. And I decided to leave it because they might see it and ask me to play. They got rid of everybody.
They could use you. They traded away like 3/4 of the roster here a couple weeks ago.
I can still throw a knuckleball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see in the majors recently where that whoever came in and pitched and he threw like a 36-mile-an-hour pitch? He was a non-pitcher.
That would be me.
And, and the guy struck out on it.
A little change of pace there. You
yeah.
got to give him the old
How do you?
change of pace. I don't know if I could throw it 60 feet, but I could still throw a knuckleball.
On X the other day, somebody had put just a video comparison of the different speeds of pitches coming at you.
Oh, yeah.
And when you see that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, it's a blip for that long.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit a blip.
Yep.
I've never seen that portrayed. They showed 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, the ball coming at you, and that's crazy.
They were showing the speeds of golf balls yesterday. I was watching that now compared to what they used to be in PGA, and that's like dragster speed.
Yeah.
That's moving.
866-594-4150. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Paul. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Paul, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I have an '08 Dodge Ram. It's a four-door quad cab. It's got 243,000 miles on it. Other than a water pump, the motor's never been touched. Still original starter, original alternator. Nothing's been done to it. It runs perfectly. I'm worried about the timing chain. I'm looking at a long trip. How do I know if it's getting close?
Well, you don't unless you start. I mean, you'd have to. You have to take you'd have to take a cover off. You'd have to take one of the valve covers off and turn that balancer back and forth and see how far it moves before the camshaft moves to determine what the difference is between the two. Sometimes you can just feel it. If you put a breaker bar on that crankshaft and you turn it one way, as you know, you turn it, let's say, an inch, so then you know everything's moving. Then you stop and move back the other way, and you'll feel it kind of freewheel. It'll just be like, all right, it's moving smooth. Click. Okay, we're hitting something. That's your chain. You'll feel where the slop is. And if you got a little slop, like maybe a quarter inch in there, you're probably pretty good. But if you move that thing like a whole inch both directions, the chain's getting pretty worn. I don't know that I've seen a chain fall off of one of these.
Yeah, my hunch is that your chain's not going to blow that thing up.
No,
it's going to be something else.
Yep,
and if you got 240 on it, amen. That's really good.
Yeah, it's been an excellent. It's the one that takes 16 plugs, 4 on top and 4 down by the exhaust manifold.
You got a Hemi in that?
No, it's the 4.7,
Okay.
not a Hemi. Yep. That 1 year or 2 years, I think they put 16 plugs in them. It gave them quite a bit more horsepower, more torque, and I pull with it. I pull trailers with it. It hasn't been babied. It's been worked. It's 240,000 miles.
Yeah.
But
they call
I've
it
always
a waste
used good
spark
oil in it.
system.
Changed it.
What was that, Russ?
They call that a waste spark system. They do that with the Ranger used them for a while. You remember that in
Yes,
the
I
Mazda
do.
engine? And it didn't do any good with those, I don't think. Airplanes always use the double for redundancy, and then Anyways,
I've never researched enough to hear that term waste spark. It caught my attention when you said
yeah. Well,
that.
they fire the plug on both the compression stroke and on the exhaust stroke, so it's doing no good. A lot of engines do it with the single plug, just because if you've got a single coil going to two, it'll fire that way because you've got no way to control it. You've got one coil and it's going to two cylinders,
But in Paul's case, just
now it's he's worried about the timing chain, and like I said, you pull a valve cover off, you can move it back and forth and see. But those we haven't put timing chains in. Certain engines we're like, time for timing chain. Don't even have to guess. If it's a Chevy with a 3.6 GM car, it needs a timing chain. How many miles are on it? 30,000. It needs
being dramatic.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about your timing chain, but that's me.
there you go. Paul, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Tennessee and talk to Dale. You're on the End of the Hood Show, Dale. What can we do for you?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Good.
Great.
Hey, I've got a 04 F350 utility truck that I use to haul trailers with, and I don't drive it very often. Well, it has sat for roughly about a year or so, and so I charged up the battery, got in, started it up, went to move it. My shift lever just slid back and forth, like with no pressure on it. So did a little research. There was ideas that there was two Torx bit screws up under the dash that might have came loose and caused the problem. So I got under there. That was not the problem. Well, after I got to investigating it, I discovered that there's a bracket that mounts to the transmission, and it's bolted to two nubs that actually are part of the casting on the transmission.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those nubs have broke off. The bolts are still in the bracket, and the bracket is sliding. So my question for you, any ideas how I can repair this aside of putting in a transmission?
Yeah, you're gonna have to weld them. You're gonna weld it back on
carefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a partner we talk about, Dorman Products, often, that comes up with solutions for this type of thing. So if you ever have something that looks like it's broken, you don't think you can fix it, but it seems to be pretty common, check with them first. You can go to their website, dormanproducts.com, and look, and there'll be all sorts of stuff like exhaust manifolds. You break one bolt in the very back of the head. They make this neat little kit that bolts onto the back of the head, and it's got a little clamp and fixes it up so you don't have to drill the head out. But in this case,
cool,
there is not a kit that I've ever seen for it. But I do see a number of them come in that have been welded. So what they do is they take some vice grips, they clamp it on where it's supposed to be, and then they get somebody who can weld aluminum, and they just weld where those nubs are to provide a little post for them to hold on to, and that fixes your problem. In the worst case, if they have to rebuild the trans to get that off so they can get the pan off of it, they may have to grind those off. But at that point, you might be getting a different transmission anyways, sending that one in as a core.
We see this often in our dismantling of vehicles. Things happen. Sometimes we have a lift point that's done wrong, and they'll snap a boss off of an aluminum housing. Sometimes the accident, a frame rail will move, and it'll snap something where it mounts. And we've got a handful of people that we've used over the years that we send aluminum housings to. We just send the whole thing, and they carefully will build that back up again and retap it, but they have to do it slow in little stages so they don't overheat what's inside the transmission, the seals, the different things. And somebody that's a patient welder can do that. But if they just go in there and start just, just going away at it, you'll burn stuff up inside, and then you'll have leaks or problems. But you're back there in the tail or that area where you're working. You gotta be careful. But it can be done.
Okay. One other question for you. Is there any possibility temporarily, because I'm going to have to get the truck to somebody that can weld it, mounting a bracket or something to the frame and then mounting that other bracket to that?
There is
or
no.
would there be too much?
There's no wrong way.
Yeah.
Any way that you can get that cable to pull and push on that shift lever is up to you. But it needs to be attached to the transmission because there's quite a bit of movement in there when you're driving on the road. When that engine goes throttle to no throttle, the engine and transmission is going to rock. So that final mounting point has to be on the transmission, not somewhere else.
Wheel chucks by the wheels. If you're by yourself, put it in neutral, start it. Have somebody help you with the brakes, put it in gear, and drive if you're pointing the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just manually take the cable off and shift it by hand and drive.
Interesting. Okay.
That's an emergency situation. You got to do what you got to do to move.
Mm-hmm.
Dale, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. That's interesting. Like, there's no, you just do it. Whatever you need to do to do.
Yeah, just like you're doing something custom.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Get under the hood. Call the Motor Medics, 866-594-4150.
That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. Let's talk to Shiloh. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Shiloh, what can we do for you?
Hey, I got two questions. So I got my first question is I got a 2008 6.4 liter F350. I went to the drive-in movies and was sitting at a little bit of an angle in the bed of my truck. I go to leave and I don't have cruise control. Get up to 70 miles an hour and I get an engine light. I check it on the tuner. It's a P0087, low fuel pressure, low rail pressure. Go home, change my spark plug, my fuel filters out, and I found 7 metal shavings on the inline filter right by the gas tank under the cab. And both filters were clean. Other than that, even the top end one, nothing, no debris in the top end. Could I just gotten some bad diesel maybe and plugged up the first inline filter a little bit?
What movie did you see, first of all? What was the first movie?
I think the first one was Jurassic Park 5.
Okay. That probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but I just wanted to make sure we had all the details.
That's a question I would normally ask.
Did you
Chris.
stay for the second movie, or was that long enough?
Oh, no, sir. I stayed for both movies.
And what was the second one?
It was Superman. Sorry, I'm working off the ladder.
Oh, that's right.
He's on a ladder. This is even better yet. I love this call. So, all right, now Chris went down this road. Are you at the movie with your buddies or with a special lady?
My wife and child.
All right, special lady. Yes, for sure.
All right. So
The one and only.
you're dreaming that the metal in those filters came from some poor diesel fuel.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if it's not, and it's pretty unlikely that it was, because those tanks have filters and everything, but you never know what happened. Maybe somebody stuck some metal shavings in there. I don't know. But the more likely case is that came from the pump, from the return side of that engine, and went into the tank and then got sucked up, and that's where you found them. And that's a bad thing. And that would give you the rail pressure code. But for now, new filters, more fuel, drive it. Is it working good now with the new filters?
Yes, sir. I changed the filters. I have cruise control. I haven't had any code come back after I deleted it. Everything. The only thing I noticed is it seems like it's a little bit down on power.
Yeah, I think you may have. You may have. I think you got a problem with the pump. You probably lost some of it. It may not be the end of it. It may go quite some time, even like it is. Whatever spit out is usually better than what usually happens. But if you get a number of codes that happen in there, it will shut the cruise down. It doesn't want the cruise to be active or the air conditioning to work and some other load-bearing items if you have this type of problem. So just drive around, see what she does. And I would say, for me, I'd be driving around in town for 3-4 months of everyday driving before I'd risk going out of town.
Keep going to the drive-through if it's in town.
Yeah.
Drive in, not drive through. There's no drive-in in town, I bet, where he is. To go back to the drive-in, he's going to have to take it out on the road, I would imagine.
I did say that, didn't
you
I?
did, yeah.
Is there a drive-through and a drive-in in your town both by chance?
There is in Chris's town.
No, I live in Sioux Falls. I went to Minnesota.
Oh, sure. All right. That's not a bad drive.
We appreciate your
yeah, that's Chris's hometown
money
there.
What's your next question? So on this one, just let it ride for a little bit, Russ. Just but pay attention.
Monitor.
Yeah, watch, because when let's say it was out of the pump, it's going to need an entire fuel system.
Okay.
Tank, clean out the lines, pump, injectors, all of it, and it happens. It happens. It's one of the bad things about almost diesel. This is where it is uberly important to use a product like Hot Shot Secret in the fuel tank, every tank of fuel in a diesel, because this is a lubricity problem.
Say that.
Everyday diesel
You wanted to
treat.
say lubricity, Chris, didn't you?
It's like running an engine with no oil in it. You cannot keep it lubricated. The pump, the injectors, they will die and destroy itself because there's not enough lubricity in the fuel. It's just super dry. Even though this truck was made after that switch, they still hadn't perfected. They still haven't today, but they still hadn't really perfected. They were way off back then. Oh, well, the fuel's not that bad. These trucks will
They
be
made
good.
this motor for 3 years and said, we're going to do something different.
Exactly. So they weren't real up on, hey, we should get everything built bulletproof. But as you buy new parts for it, if they're reputable parts, they will be hardened, better metal, but they still need additive in every tank of fuel. On mine, I carefully measure out additive every time I fill that thing up. I put the gallons in, I go, I put it in. I find myself, I know exactly how much treatment 20 gallons takes. So I carry a little cup with I got a glove from work over it to keep the dirt out of it, because I just leave it in the box of the truck. And I put 20 gallons in, I fill it in, dump it in. And I go, okay, down to a quarter tank. I put 20 gallons in, I put it in, that way I don't have to figure out, because figuring out ounces, nobody wants to do that.
Of course
Just
he
stick
does.
20 in there every time. Well, you could do that, 2.5 divided by 2 plus 12.
Of course you do.
Mm-hmm. Do you have another question there, Shiloh?
Who says trigonometry wasn't useful when you got out of school?
Yes, sir, I do. First off, I do use Hot Shot Secrets in every tank of my diesel. That's the one I use specifically. And then my second question was referring to, do you know anything about the 3.0 power strokes from 18 to 21?
What is Shiloh? Either work on the ladder or call. I mean, come on, man. The noise. I'm worried about you.
Are you building a house or cleaning eave spouts?
What are you doing?
I'm actually a construction worker, and I caulk precast panels.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Sorry. We're making our nervous here.
Drive it. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the small Duramax of anything. If it's either gasoline or a full size V8 or diesel, yeah,
Okay.
oh, that's it. They cost so much money to repair, and they're such a pain in the butt. We don't like. Nope. I am not working on a Sprinter engine. I am not working on a little Cummins in a Toyota truck. I'm not working on.
I'm going to give a little commentary here, and
they're fine to drive.
Very
when they
frustrating.
Work.
They work great. They get great fuel economy. They got good torque.
Chrysler's got to be the worst of all of them.
But they have things
For
that
me.
happen that are expensive.
Yes.
And I think if the emissions world was,
if there were no emissions
if
on
the
those
emissions
engines,
worlds were changed back to some normal, less intrusive, but still really good emissions, I think they could build a heck of a motor like that.
well, the tuning alone does 80%, I think, of all the emissions work. Just the tuning on a bare engine with nothing but an exhaust pipe. You take that and you put a catalytic converter on it, and that's it. Boom, you're good. But with all that other crap hanging on there, it causes major
Yeah.
issues with these engines.
Exactly. And then people are fighting because of a sensor issue that's buried up under the
You
backside
could
of the
have.
engine. Or,
I really think you could have like in a let's say that engine in an F-150. I believe that truck would get 40 miles to the gallon with the proper emissions on it and be very clean.
and probably very bulletproof.
Yeah, it would, and that's maybe they don't want it to last so long. I don't know, but it would last a long time.
Does that help you out there, Shiloh?
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. Have a great day. I appreciate you.
You too.
Be safe.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to work us in.
Fall down.
Yeah, exactly.
He worked us into his day.
Uh-huh.
I like that.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Iowa and talk to Josh. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Josh, what can we do for you?
So I've got a 2018 Pacifica. Back a few months ago, I had the P1404, the stuck EGR valve code going. So I took that off, cleaned it out well. There was a good amount of buildup in there. Put it back on, tried to clear my code, no result there. So I replaced the EGR valve, tried to clear the code, same thing. Tried to do some reading online. Some people say maybe there's something that needs to be reprogrammed with the new part. The guy at the parts store, he told me that that's a bunch of crap. So kind of not sure if I need to get it in somewhere for some programming or if there's something else I can do on my end to try to get that code to go off, because right now my automatic, the start stop doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also cannot remote start the vehicle as well. It's disabling both of those functions because of this code and check engine light.
And the programming usually isn't an issue. It's a problem with something in the circuit. There's either a problem with the part or the circuit or a cleanliness issue in the engine. Something's not flowing well. It's going to need some diagnosis in a shop. They're going to have to put their hands on it and actually do that. But I haven't seen programming for this issue that would fix that. Some, but certain codes, but not this one. This is, I think, a hard part issue.
Josh, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
If it needs more than duct tape, you need Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Don't forget, if you miss a show, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch the show at our YouTube channel. If you subscribe there and join the Hoodie Fan Club at UnderTheHoodShow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Janet Corey. It rhymes with hoodie. Corey.
No,
hoodie.
it doesn't. Nope.
Could.
Nope, doesn't at all, but go ahead.
Okay. Congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classics, celebrating 50 years of collector car coverage, and Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu.
Let's go to Minneapolis and talk to Scott. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Scott, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I was just sitting here eating breakfast, thinking about an engine problem I was having. I thought, hey, it's Thursday morning. I can call the Brain Trust over at Under the Hood. So this is great.
You got me.
Little different
Go ahead.
Question, maybe.
Chris, he's got you for breakfast, or he's got you for the Brain Trust?
Well, he's eating, so that's my thing.
Well,
that's a late breakfast.
I time breakfast. I'm retired. That's what you get to do when you retire.
Nice.
All right. So then
Yeah.
lunch is at
Yeah.
2?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Perfect.
Kind of,
Perfect.
Whenever,
All right.
kind of whenever. Yeah. But you kind of get to build your own schedule. I've got a marine application to ask you guys about. I've got a 97 Larson boat, but it's got the a Volvo outdrive with the Chevy 4.3 V6 engine in it. And when I winterize it every year, I drain the block, drain the water, etc., and then fill the whole block up with that pink antifreeze. And this year, we just haven't had a chance to use the boat. I have not unwinterized it. In other words, I've not drained the antifreeze out of there. And I'm wondering if I store it for another year or maybe even two, is it okay to leave it as is, or is there something better I should do to protect the internals of the block, the coolant passages, etc.?
It's fine what you did, so it's not going to freeze. The problem is that there's no anti-rust protection in the RV antifreeze. It's made for plastic pipes. It's not made to protect a cast iron block. Technically, when you're winterizing those things, you should antifreeze would be the best protection. If you're in an environment where you have a long winter, like you do in Minnesota and we do here, antifreeze in the block, regular antifreeze, if you were looking for like a super long term longevity, full antifreeze in the block, and then you drain that out and you flush it so it doesn't go in the lake, that would be the best way. Or a antifreeze that is
anti-corrosive.
Well, they do have antifreeze. I think our partners over at Peak actually make one, and I would check with them first because, I mean, they've got everything for every car. But in this one, I think they make, it's possible, I don't know, but I've seen environmentally safe antifreezes that wouldn't hurt the environment if they got, they're
discharged into the
eco-friendly. So if I was putting some, but it has rust protection. So if I was going to be using that, that's what I would do. Now, shorter periods, you're down in Texas. We got callers from down there where the only time you're going to winterize the boat is if you decided you're going to put it up on the lift, even not even get it out of the, take it out on a trailer, and it's going to freeze for the next 3 or 4 weeks. We're just going to quickly winterize it. Yeah, the RV antifreeze is great because it's running all the time. But that's why they make these boats now with closed loop systems. The block always has antifreeze in it to prevent corrosion, and then it's got a copper or aluminum core that exchanges the heat out of the lake, and you don't have to winterize that. But for you, it's always been this way since 97. It's not going to make it any worse or better. I would just leave what you have right now and just keep that battery charged, keep it out.
I got a bad feeling though, Scott. If you go another year or two, you're just
not going to use it again.
You're not going to do it.
No, Chris is saying maybe you should just sell the boat.
Maybe.
Or
because it's not going to go
ahead and
if
do
it goes in there for 2 years, it's probably not coming out.
Yeah, I think.
Well, remember I didn't use mine. I was like, I'll use it next year. I'll use it next year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was 14 years. And we haven't had our boats out in 14 years.
Yeah.
And then I got them out. We used them one summer and there they sat. So I looked at the cost of registration of those over the last 16 years now. And went, why did I keep them? Right?
Scott, you must really like the boat.
Well, that's exactly where we're at. You know, we happen to live on a small lake, and but you know, I just don't want to let the boat control us that much. I feel obligated when we get it in the water that I need to use.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But
Are
you
you?
know what happens with you look at insurance and storage and all that. You know, we took it out 3 times last year. It cost us $200 a ride. I mean, it's not a cheap ride.
Do you have a place
But,
on the lake you're on where you can rent a boat?
No, we're not quite that big.
Okay.
It's a smaller lake, but we have talked about that to maybe do that. But you know, I had it so long; it's in great shape. It runs perfect, and for what I'd get if I sold it, I could never replace it.
Yeah, go to Airbnb boat.
One other question, if I could, on that. So the marine blocks, are the marine versions of those engines, are they any different? In other words, do they have any coatings on the coolant
No.
passages, et cetera, or is
No.
it just a standard car block?
No, different. They have a different camshaft in them, sometimes different compression pistons, and that's it for the bottom end of the block. And then the top end of the block has some different stuff. And that's in this engine. That's in the 4.3. They make different engines for different applications. They still make a 6.5 liter GM diesel, which is the same that's in the truck, but it's got a stronger crankshaft. And in the last 10 years, they've called it the optimizer block, and it's a little bit different block and crank, and they push those really hard. They use them in shrimp boats and stuff like that. They'll have 2 to 4 engines in there, sometimes 3, and they'll just wind on those things all day long, and they'll last the equivalent of 400,000 miles that they would get in a truck. And then they pull them out and they sell them, and somebody buys them used. But your engine, no, it's basically a car. As far as the inside of it, it's not specialty coated. They did go, like I said, to the closed loop systems on them, where they have antifreeze in them with a coolant with a radiator cap, and then they have a heat exchanger. That's the best way to go. And those, I mean, if you've got that, you still need to be changing coolant. And our partners over at Peak have coolants for everything, including the marine applications. You got to change that because you've got a block, and it's got a lot. You're not using it all the time. Heat cool cycles, it causes rust and corrosion. So you still got to flush those out.
If you pull it out and keep it in your garage, your climate controlled garage, does that change that equation?
Well, once it's dry, if you drain it and it's 100% dry where it won't freeze, it's better to have it completely dry, than, in my opinion, than to have RV antifreeze in there, which is a liquid which can corrode eventually. It's not really rust proofing the inside of that engine,
right?
Not like antifreeze would.
But for some though, they want to run that through though to make sure the little elbows and everything else where there might be a water trap.
That's why I said water 100% out, where you're taking it apart. Now, if it were me and I was going to store one for 3 or 4 years, I would plug off the outlets, fill the block, drain it, so flush it into a bucket a couple times, see what it looks like, and then probably check it to see what the freeze protection is of it, so I'm not wasting any of it. And then I would plug all those exits off, and I would fill that engine right to the top through the thermostat housing area until it's right there. And then I know I've got no air in there. I've got coolant, and it's protecting it.
Does that help you out, Scott? Did it make you feel any better?
Oh, it's great. Yep, I'm going to sleep better tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much for
When
the
he
call.
goes to bed at 9, 10?
Whenever he
No,
wants.
that would be dinner.
Whenever he wants.
Do we call that dinner, the last meal of the day for him?
It's a good question.
Or is it supper?
It depends, doesn't it?
You know,
that would depend on his working life. I mean, that's already
Scott,
been,
is it supper or dinner? Last meal of the day.
For us, it's dinner. It's at least in the Midwest here. For most of us, it's dinner for you guys.
We on the farm growing up, it was supper time.
Supper was dinner was
fancy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You went somewhere for dinner.
You just had supper.
You
Yeah.
had supper at the house.
Wow.
Scott, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Boats, man. Boats are a whole thing. They are a different beast altogether.
You know, you'd got people that just are in them every weekend, and you got people that buy them because they want them.
I'm a boat guy, but I've been stuck without. I tell you what, on the lake, boat's going to hang there, I'm going to be out there every day if I want.
Yeah.
The thing is getting them out and putting them in. If I look out my back door, which I will, and I see the boat sitting out there, I'm like, hey, let's go for a boat ride. It's right there on the hoist. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year round.
Could you take it out every day without having to like do a bunch of stuff to it?
Don't have to.
Okay.
If you're in a climate where you can do that.
Yeah, Michelle, we can't take the boat today. I think I saw a small fly.
Oh yeah,
that was I'm talking about him.
Yeah. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
If car repair was cheap, you wouldn't need us. We're Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. Let's go down to Texas and talk to Mike. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Mike, what can we do for you?
Hey, how you doing today?
Fantastic. What can we do for you?
Hey, I've got a 2022 Nissan Rogue, and I've got a couple issues. Number one, and most important, I went out one day and popped the hood to check a few things under the motor and I noticed there was a great big nest, and I thought, well, that's not good.
Yeah, don't take it out.
And
That powers the car.
Yeah, the nest was not made out of vegetation. It was made out of insulation.
Armadillo?
And I looked around. I couldn't figure out where that insulation came from in the car, but I know it had to come from somewhere in the car.
White insulation.
And then, so anyway, I got that out, cleaned it all up, and there were things everywhere. I got all that cleaned up. Haven't had the issue since. What happened was when I jumped in the car, cranked it up, ran fine, but the engine was on, check engine light. And when I ran the code on it, it said something about and I can't remember the terminology. I don't have it in front of me. I'm actually on the road at the moment. But it said something about the louver on the very front bottom. It opens and closes in front of a little radiator-looking thing.
Grill shutters.
There you go. It was not operating correctly. Okay? I went down underneath it and looked at it. Well, they're wide open. And I thought, well, heck, it's summertime. I'm not going to worry about it because it needs to be open in the summertime anyway.
Uh-huh.
But, I'm worried about it coming up this next winter. And I'm thinking, wherever that insulation came from, whatever nested in the motor there, shoot through a wire.
Yeah, the insulation's going to come from the hood liner. That's what's white in there, but or they brought it in from somewhere else, which happens all the time. But
I tried to trace the wire and I can't find it.
yeah, and you might not. Those grill shutters are garbage on those things. I see so many of them that come in with a grill shutter code. Usually, it doesn't set a check engine light unless they're closed and they fail in the closed position. But if they don't set a check engine light, there's no problem. You just unplug them and leave them open. It doesn't hurt anything. But it helps with warm up a little bit in the winter, but just a little temperature control. They need to be open. When we do engines in cars, we're always looking under there to see if they have grill shutters and if they're broken and they're shut or half of them are shut. And a lot of times we just remove them and throw them away because people don't want to spend the money to fix them. Some of them are $1,800. Some of them are $300. It just depends on what you got. And to fix a lot of them, most of them you have to remove the whole front end of the car. In order to get down, you have to take the bumper cover off, the structure off, and all the way down to the core support to get to where they bolt on. So we just rip them out. But if you got a code and a light, they've probably failed. It could have a wire that's chewed through. You just have to follow the entire wire back to the harness and look. But more than likely, the motor for the grill shutters has failed. And if you read the code and look at the description real close, it should say open circuit, shorted to power, shorted to ground. If it says it's open, it could be a wire, but you could also get another set of grill shutters and try to plug the wire into it, leave it under the car hanging there and just plug it in and see if the code goes away and the grill shutters activate. If they do, then you got to take it all apart, put grill shutters in it.
I would, I'm sure you've done it, but inspect that grill shutter really close to make sure there's nothing obstructed inside of it. If you had a critter underneath there, did they chew on something on the shutter? Did they leave something behind that's caught in the rail on the edge where it's not allowing it to open and close?
Is the critter the thing that jammed
did he
it
not
open?
get out all the way and he's stuck in there like somewhere?
I've looked. I don't find anything in there.
Okay.
The insulation being used as a nest isn't the issue, right? It's the nest and whatever was in the nest and what else it's done.
I would be very concerned about where that insulation come from if I can't trace it. If make sure they're not running a little operation out of your car.
Yeah.
If it's a one-time nest, they found a warm spot, made a house. That would be your best case scenario. Just make sure they're not running operations out of your car.
Mike, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150.
Friends of ours at New Hampshire Oil Undercoating have a product called Mouse Off.
Mouse out.
Mouse out.
Yeah.
Or off. I don't want them out or on or.
Yeah, you want them out.
But that's definitely something that would be a good application for this.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Oregon and talk to Ryan. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Ryan, what can we do for you?
We just bought a new project. We have a 2009, HHR SS with a 5-speed. The issues that it has is that it has no fifth and it has no reverse. And it's also getting an ESC light on the dash and no power steering. We drained the fluid on the 5-speed, put new fluid in it, same issue. I don't know where to start for the ESC and the power steering.
Electronic steering control. So the transmission, one of the two likely problems, either it has bad shift cables, the bushings are worn out in it, or the transmission's out. One of the two.
Yeah.
You're going to have to look at that real close to find out. And if there's any metal in that transmission when you pull that drain plug, then it's transmission. And the cables could have been the problem that caused the transmission to fail.
Because it wasn't quite shifting all the
the
way into
cables
the range.
Yeah. But that ESC, that's electronic power steering. You got electric steering motor on that, on the column. It's part of the whole column in that. They had a lot of problems with those. They would fail. You get an ESC light, and when the ESC light comes on, you can't turn the steering wheel because it doesn't do it. It has a steering angle sensor built into it. It's got a servo motor at the bottom, and it looks at the angle and the torque load of you turning the wheel and driving down the road, and it ties into the computer, and it figures all these things out and says work or don't work.
Yeah, they started that system in Cobalts and those kind of cars in that era.
So that's probably what's going
Can
on.
he just
there.
muscle it?
If I reset, what, sir?
I was going to ask, can he just muscle it and
Yeah.
ignore it for a while?
Well, it's tough, but yeah.
Oh no.
It's not that much of we don't want it to be that much of a project.
If I reset the steering calibration on that, will that reset the ESC?
No. It'll clear the code and
No?
it'll come back on instantly as soon as you touch the wheel.
If that's the problem.
Yep. It's the motor that fails in them.
And it's most likely the problem.
Yeah, because I went through all the fuses that would run that system and all the relays and actually spent some time going through it. And the transmission, yes, it was full of metal. We did order some new shift cables, but I think that the previous owner, which the car only has 108,000 miles on it, the previous owner, I do believe, waited too long to change the shift cables, and now we have a out transmission. And finding a transmission seems to be a huge ordeal right now.
Well, in that model of vehicle, there was, you're talking about a car that's gotten quite a bit older. There's just not a lot of them on the road being salvaged. And the SS had a little different gear ratio. I think it may have been shared with another GM vehicle. I'm not sure, but when you get into our inventory system, I can look that up, or one of our sales reps can look it up, and it'll tell us whether that happened to be the same as the Cobalt SS in that era or whatever it might happen to be. But yes, it definitely would have been a sport ratio to make it different on the way everything's calibrated. But you could go on, we have partners at Cardash Part, and you could go onto their system and find out who in our area, your area, has those units, and then start talking to them. They've got VIN numbers, they got miles. You can look at all that, and maybe you can find another one. I think there's a couple of places that might still even rebuild those. A couple vendors, but it's just not as commonplace as it used to be because there's just not a high demand item anymore.
Ryan, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. I'm going to jump a call here and go.
There you go.
to Christoph, because this seems kind of weird. Christoph, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hey, my dudes, I got that 06 HHR, and maybe just in time I can recommend a couple of quick things for the 09 guy in Oregon.
There you go.
Number one, there was a power steering recall for all models of the HHR, so get that VIN run and find out if that was ever done, because you might be getting something covered under that. Number two, I had that ESC power steering fail because we had engine oil or some other fluid that creeped up the plastic wire harness and found its way into that control and fried it. So one morning when I went to go start my car, it went crazy because that computer was sensing all kinds of crazy stuff and lights were blinking and you name it. But it was the weirdest thing that they had seen, quote unquote, at the local dealership, that fluid had just basically gone uphill, up the cables and into that module. And they had to rewire the power steering harness because, again, even several years ago, the parts were rare. They actually had to hard solder things together because they couldn't get a retrofit harness for it. So I was in your boat, maybe.
That's really, really good. And that was very instinctful of Chris to take
jump
this
to
call.
that, yeah.
You know,
I figured it can't be.
Yeah,
there can't be
yeah.
too many HHRs out there.
Yeah, I can ask you about my questions during the after show if you need to wrap up. That's fine. But the old Russ bucket is from 06. The original 06 at 160,000, and
oh no,
some point soon. But
Actually,
I have some questions about next steps.
I am gonna put you on hold there for a second because we are gonna go afterwards because your cell is not great. So
can I throw the
stand
trivia
by.
question at you, Chris?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's HHR stand for?
I was thinking about it.
I do know the answer, else I wouldn't have asked the question.
I couldn't. I almost asked what the first H is, but then I remembered it's a Heritage High Roof.
There you go.
Right?
Yes.
What is the Heritage there? Was it just
Heritage? Probably the old panels, the old Suburbans.
Okay.
You know, that's what I think they were going after. I think.
Did it work? Did it
for a while?
That seems like when he said he had a project that was an 08 HHR or 09, I thought that seems like a weird project.
But think about it in perspective.
But I guess if it falls into your lap, they're all.
No, but you think of it in perspective, that's of an era fun car. You know, the SS, the SS version, especially,
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
they were a good looking rig. They had some nice wheels on them. They were a little bit more side ground effects looking. They just looked sporty. It was kind of a fun car.
that's going to do it for this hour of the Under the Hood show. If you stick around on YouTube, you'll find Christoph, and we're going to talk to Leaf in Wisconsin on the after show, so stick around. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. Don't forget, you can watch the show on our social media channels, and if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie. And if you miss an episode, you can always find it wherever you get your podcasts. For Russ Evans, Shannon Nordstrom, I'm Chris Carter. Thanks for joining us on the Under the Hood Show. All right, this is the after show. Let me make a couple switches here, do a couple things, do this, and then go back. I'm going to go right back to Christoph. What can we do for you? What question do you have?
Hey guys, long time no hear. So to recap, I got the 06 HHR from July of 2006. I've owned it since then, 160,000 miles on it. The rust is Midwest ugly underneath, and it's a crunchy car. But the kiddo wants to continue driving it to college. Right now, I've got a line hanging, kinked, on the driver's side where it comes down underneath the running board and meets the rear wheel well. And spot checking that looks like it's related to the driver's side rear brake line for the drum brakes that are on that old 06. It has drums in the back and discs in the front. It's old enough that when he had a blowout and had to jack up the car, the most difficult thing we had to find was a place to safely raise the rear wheel to unrelated other side of the car to get that flat, that ripped apart tire changed out to the spare. That was a year ago. More rust has happened. And I want to know if it was a car, or let's say maybe your mom's car or your kid's car, what's the limit that you would look at in terms of if we're going to go under there, it's becoming a this old car project. If we replace that brake line, we might as well replace the whole brake line group, like all sides. If we're going to do that, next to that is the fuel rails, and I'm sure those have got some rust coming through the insulation soon too. So I can get the parts. It's going to cost me probably $500 in parts. I don't know what it's going to cost in labor. Where would you draw the line between that and saying, the car's really not worth that much?
You got to look at safety, because if you've got that much rust where they're rusting that bad, I've gotten rid of cars because that body structure, once the rockers are gone, you make them pretty weak. If that car gets hit in the side, it's going to fold up and be dangerous for who's ever riding in the vehicle, either side. So you got to look at that. And also they tend to break off where the control arms on the rear.
I would be up in the air on a hoist and hitting that thing with a hammer where the suspension mounts on every mount.
You couldn't raise it with a jack because it was that bad.
I'm concerned.
It's probably past its limit already.
Got it. And it has been up on the hoist to have some things done within the last 6 months while it's been drier. But it's scheduled to possibly go in. It's not yet scheduled. It's on the books to possibly come in and be looked at to see whether or not we want to replace those brake lines and fuel rails or call it quits.
Brake lines and fuel,
that's probably like a
couple $1,000 right there.
Yeah, unless you're going to run them yourself with some roll of brake.
Well, Dorman Products makes
Dorman
kits.
makes pieces. Yeah,
they make kits for many vehicles,
that's right.
and you can buy the whole kit, but you still have to put it on.
Yeah,
it's work. I mean, it's worth it if you've got like the Chevy trucks and stuff that have these issues. We change those all day long. They're a great value, but on a car if the body's not safe enough to drive, you probably don't want to put a brake line kit.
We see a lot of them come in where those rockers have rusted out on the outside, and they definitely would be compromised in an accident. But the car's still pretty solid on the inner structure, the unistructure, where the cradle mounts on. But that's the parts I'd be looking at if you are really thinking you want to keep driving this thing. You already know that the outside is crusty, and you're compromised in that area for the unibody is supposed to absorb energy as it gets hit, and you've got part of your energy absorption's just not there. And part of the crumple zones is just not there. But if you're okay with that, then you look at okay, when this thing's on, I'm hitting it with a hammer right where it mounts on and everything's solid. Ting, 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 ting. That's what I'd be doing.
Okay. So like a hammer test and jacking it up in the driveway is probably something that maybe I can take a look at without crawling underneath it and making myself, at risk. But if I were to take it to a shop, what kind of a shop would I want to take it to have them look at those points?
Just a general repair shop. Anybody that does alignments and brakes and shocks and stuff like that, you can bring it in there and they can raise it up and take a look and go, oh, that's pretty bad.
Somebody that's not trying to sell you a car at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Christoph, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Wisconsin and talk to Leaf. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Leaf, what can we do for you?
Hey, Shannon, Russ, and Chris. Fantastic show. Have enjoyed it for years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, I listened to the Nordstrom history a few weeks back, and that was fantastic.
We've had a lot of good feedback on that. I'm glad Russ did that. That's awesome.
That was great. So I really have a simple question, but it turned out to be a complex problem. I'm looking for inner tie rods for a GTO 05 new style and cannot find that stuff. Those anywhere. Do you have any recommendations on where to work or where to look?
Australia?
On the parts finder.
Seriously, you're going to have to look on some websites there because there are people I know that have gone there. You won't see a lot of those websites in the United States, but if you're specifically looking there, which is a whole different way to look things up, that's probably what you're going to have to do to get parts. There are certain pieces of that car that are zero availability in the United States. Certain chassis parts, the rear side windows you cannot buy in the United States. They were discontinued years ago and nobody wanted to build them because there's just not that many cars out there. Good car, they're still sought after. People like those little things, but there are certain parts that are very unique to it you can't buy.
The other day I just saw a complete trunk lid with a spoiler on it getting shipped out of our shipping department, and it was a car that we had dismantled in 06 that was a basically a new car that got wrecked in transportation. And we were just selling. We had kept it, apparently not sold it, and it was in one of our storage areas, and it was just getting sold in the last month.
You might be able to find a rack like that.
That's what I said.
Somewhere
Have
in
you
the
tried
United
looking
States.
up a whole rack and pinion yet?
Yeah, I have looked at a rack actually in Australia, but they drive on the other side of the road, so I suspect everything else, it's all right hand instead of left hand.
But the tie rods are the same.
Oh,
The rack is backwards, but the tie rods should be the same.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I think that you've been on Car Dash Part?
Yeah. And actually, I just put out a request this morning, so we'll have to see if anything pops up.
Car Dash Part, looking up a complete rack and pinion. At one time, we had 12 of these with 1 mile on them, and I'm sure, and they're all gone. I'm sure, but there's got to be somebody out there that has recently wrecked a 50,000 mile GTO in a traffic accident, and it's gotten bought for salvage for somebody to get the LS out of it. And that vehicle is being parted out. You might even get onto a Facebook forum where they're like an LS forum, and ask if anybody has got a parts GTO sitting in the backyard that they've used to get the motor out of. Because that was very common when they got wrecked for salvage. People would steal the motor tranny out of them, and they might have the rack sitting there not doing anything with it, and it's not really listed anywhere. I'd just start poking around there too.
Leaf, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. So that's why parts cost me money, because for 19 years you've kept it in place, right? I mean, it's not
the fastest moving part in the world.
I bet.
When you need it, but if you don't, you don't.
Yeah. Huh. Was it worth it?
I don't know. I didn't look. I'm guessing we discounted the heck out of it and sold it. Probably. It's better than crush price.
Yeah, good point. Let's go to Tennessee and talk to RJ. You're on the Under the Hood Show. RJ, what can we do for you?
Hey, fellas. I've called in before. A few years ago, I called in about doing an LS swap in my little S10 Blazer, and we talked about a 409 at that time. But anyway, I got the got it installed, and I've been driving it. In fact, I called back in and because I was having a problem. I talked to Russ, but I did not. I guess it just went in, and I didn't absorb what he told me. So here we go again. I'm having an issue with it goes into limp mode, throttle body position sensor, a P0120 and a P2135, which are fairly common codes on these things. But the issue is it only does this basically when I go to start it. I mean, before I even start it up, it does it at the first click over to get it to run. You know, it's at the turnover on a cold start in the morning. And I've done the typical solutions that are new throttle body, I even did a throttle position sensor, a dormant rebuild, grounds, new dedicated grounds. I've done I actually did an overlay harness to the throttle position sensor with new connectors, new pedal, new harness to the pedal from the tack, even pulled a new tack off of a bullet. So I don't know where to go with this thing. It'll do it in the morning. I drive it all day, and it won't do it in the afternoon. Unless I leave it setting for a long time, like, 4 or 5 hours, and sometimes it'll do it when I go to start it. But I can basically drive it all day.
Go get yourself one of those remote starter switch buttons that connects right to the starter, to the exciter wire and the battery post on the starter, so you can crank it with one of those.
Like a trigger button?
Yep.
Okay.
And then turn the ignition switch on and start it with that and see if you get a code. I'm guessing you probably won't. You probably got a bad ignition switch. You're probably cranking it, and there's no voltage as it's cranking over, or very low voltage. But you're cranking it. You're sending a signal out to the starter, but the voltage is very low. If you have low voltage at that computer, if it drops down below 10.5 volts, it's going to set that code every time with that electronic throttle body. I've seen it dozens of times on older vehicles like that have the old style ignition switch. They're not like the new ones that engine came out of. So it needs to see more voltage there. And those switches are made to supply voltage in the run position and the start position. But what happens is they supply it in run, but they only supply about half of it in the start position. So until the engine cranks, and it's harder to crank when it's cold and draws more voltage, it won't do it. The other thing you might do is if you put a battery charger on the vehicle and you boost it so it's got more voltage and you crank it, it's probably not going to set the code there either. If that's the case, it's a low voltage issue.
Okay, that's all right. I think that's exactly what you told me before. And I suggest right now it's at a performance shop that these guys do these all the time. Swaps on GM and Chrysler products, and of course it wouldn't throw a code while it's there. It'll do it all damn week. I'll go to start it, and it'll go into limp mode every day until I take it to that shop. Because I have pulled my hair out. I've done everything. I loaded up the old can and just shot parts at it.
Clear the codes. Wherever it's at, go to that shop. Go clear the codes, and then go turn the headlights on for 15 minutes so the battery runs down a little bit, and try to crank it and see if it throws that code. That'll lower the voltage enough to where it might do it, and say, hey, or tell them, say, you know what? Could you just put a voltmeter at the computer or the coil or anything on here that it's pretty easy. Just go to a coil, just unplug one of the coils or back probe it and check it, see what the voltage is there, and then try to crank it and watch that voltage. And if your voltage at your coil is dropping way down when you're cranking it and then comes back up as soon as it starts, that's what's going on. You got a low voltage there. And they may do this every day, but they may not see it. We did it every day, and we didn't figure out this problem until we had one that had the problem 3 or 4 years after we'd been doing it every day. And then we had the problem. We had to figure it out.
If he puts in this is just me listening to this whole thing. This is intriguing to me too. The ignition switch, the old school ignition switch on the column in that S10 is a rod going down to the actual electrical piece, correct? I think on that one.
Not an O2. O2's got a tumbler up top.
Is it all right there? Okay.
But it still supplies power in the
But
crank position.
would a new one?
A new one would probably fix the problem.
Okay. It's just because of the age, it's not supplying the voltage.
It worked in the beginning, right?
I'm sorry?
This worked in the beginning when you first put it in, right?
Well, here's the thing, Russ. In the beginning, I had some other issues with it, where you start fixing things and you think you got it fixed. Yeah, it would throw that code, but then it was the throttle. I think it was the throttle body was bad.
Okay.
So, so it could have been a number of different things. Now it's just getting to where it only does it when I go to start it in the morning.
Yeah.
It used to do it off and on. When you're driving it, but it's 20-some-year-old throttle body and that had bad, bad connectors possibly. I don't know, but and then I tried using an aftermarket throttle body, and that didn't. That was not a good idea either. You need to use the OEM throttle body.
Sounds like, though, just to have that shop and yourself just confirm you've got consistent voltage at the computer. And if you don't, that's going to be a problem. You got to get that figured out.
RJ, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. All right, I just went to Car Dash Part, and I looked up
rack and pinion.
Yeah, first I did tie rods. Not
going to find
available.
anybody. Nobody inventories them usually.
And yeah, there's 2 pages of rack and pinions.
That's what I wondered about. That really surprised me. What's the mileage range on them?
Oh, like on the piece itself?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mileage should be on there.
I don't see how. I don't. I don't see it. No.
They always put miles on there. We're on the wrong thing there.
I mean, if I click on it, maybe it'll like where? All right. All right. Right there? No clicky. No click. All right. We're both trying to read the internet on the radio.
We are. I'm just trying to see if there's another way to do your profile. Sort by miles is always the distance in miles.
Right.
Usually the mileage is right there in the description on the right side.
It's not. It's just there's no description really other than the place. Maybe because I'm not logged in or something. I don't know.
No. Find it. I use that all the time, and it's got everything I need right there.
Just has dealer info, and I don't see it's not. I can't go left or right. All right. That. All right. Okay.
There it is.
There it is. It isn't. Is it? No. Well, in any event, there's a bunch there.
Yeah, there is.
And then we'll log off the old show here because now we're all confused. All right. Thanks, everybody. No, I'm not clicking on anything. We're done. We're done here. Okay. Thanks, everybody.